Azam, Part 396. A small official majority was retained at the center, but in all the provinces, the officials were outnumbered by the nominated plus elected members. And in Bengal, the elected members had a clear majority. The possibility of Indians holding the highest offices in the administration was realized by the appointment of an Indian not only to each provincial executive council but to the governor generals too. Though the Act of 1909 brought the constitutional advance begun by the Act of 1861, the threshold of representative government, the idea that this advance was comparable with what had happened in England or the colonies was firmly rejected by the British statesmen and officials. The legislative councils were still regarded as darbars rather than the parliaments. Lord Curzon's chief criticism of new councils was that they would inevitably become parliamentary bodies in miniature. Morley did not contest these arguments, and his conclusion was the same. If it could be said, he told the House of Lords, that this chapter of the reforms led directly or necessarily to the establishment of parliamentary system in India, I, for one, would have nothing at all to do with it. There could be no analogy, he said, between Ireland and India or between Canada and India. He derided the idea that whatever is good in the way of self-government for Canada must be good for India as a gross dangerous sophism. It was like arguing, he said, that because of a fur coat is needed in the Canadian winter, it is needed in Deccan. The process of developing a parliamentary system was as yet only in its earliest stages. Representative government was still a novelty and still incomplete, and fully representative government had existed in Canada for more than 50 years before it was converted into responsible government. It was not till 1916 that in the new atmosphere created by the war, Indian politicians proposed that they should take a hand in the government themselves, and that the proposal meant something much less than the real responsible government. Throughout this period of advancing claims, the Congress had not ignored the problem of Muslim minority. The article of the construction which allocated the seat for All India Congress Committee prescribed that as far as possible 1 out of 5 of the total numbers of representatives shall be Muslims. At the session of 1913, separate electorates were again condemned. On the issue of the separate electorate, the Muslim leaders were equally unyielding. Separate electorates were indispensable safeguard without which they would not have acquiesced in the reforms of 1909. But their disagreement with the Congress went deeper than that. Like Morley, they would have had nothing to do with those reforms if they had been designed to lead on the colonial precedent towards a parliamentary system. Yet that was precisely how the Congress, ignoring Morley's disclaimer, had interpreted them. This fundamental cleavage of opinion was soon made manifest. At a meeting of the Council of the Muslim League in 1913, the adoption of the Congress formula of colonial self-government as the constitutional objective was moved but found no seconder, and the League Council adopted its place in the formula. The attainment under the aegis of the British Crown of a system of self-government suitable to India, a decision which the League confirmed. The President of the Council, Muhammad Shafi, denounced the Congress formula as inadmissible and unsound. The old breach seemed to be widening when the outbreak of the war gave new strength and meaning to the idea of Indian nationhood. There was a move that the League and Congress joined forces to ensure that one of the results of the war should be a much larger measure of self government in India.